Hi, my name is Domaleski, and I work with the National Center for the Improvement of Educational Assessment, an organization based in Dover, New Hampshire in the United States. I'm sorry I'm not able to be with you in person at the TAO Days conference, but I'm pleased to be able to share with you on this brief video about some of the important and exciting work that I'm fortunate to be a part of on behalf of the National Center and State Collaborative, or NICSIC as we sometimes refer to in shorthand. Now, you may be aware in the United States, many states have adopted what are referred to as the Common Core State Standards in English Language Arts and Mathematics. And through a federal grant program, many of these states have come together in groups or assessment consortia to develop achievement tests with respect to these standards. NICSIC is one of these assessment consortia, and NICSIC's focus is on assessments for students with significant cognitive disabilities. Now, this is groundbreaking work for at least two reasons. First, as a field, we're still learning about how students with significant cognitive disabilities learn and how they can best show what they know on education achievement tests. And second, on a practical level, having so many research organizations and states come together to do this type of work on this scale and on a brisk timeline is really unprecedented. But we're excited about the progress we've made so far, and we're excited about the promise of being able to improve academic outcomes for students with significant disabilities. So, on this video, I'll share with you a little bit more about the work we're doing, and particularly about the prominent role that TAO plays in helping us accomplish our objectives. And I'm glad my colleague Doug is with you in person, and he'll be able to share additional detail and address your questions. I'll start by saying a little more about the role of technology in the project. Working with over 20 states and entities, to include the 6 Pacific entities, it's simply critical to build our system on a robust computer-based platform for delivery and management of resources. While assessment creation, management, and delivery is central to the project, the full scope, as you see, includes much more, including providing support and training resources, reporting of results, and managing data such as item banking and state student data files. In the early stages of the project, NICSIC worked with states to develop a technical architecture for the system, which provided the specifications necessary to begin the operational work. Then, through a competitive procurement process, NICSIC partnered with CTB McGraw-Hill and Breakthrough Technologies to build the system, which prominently featured TAO. The NICSIC states see great benefit in an open-source solution in contrast to a proprietary closed system. This provides great flexibility to customize the features as needed, which is simply essential for designing a system to support students with significant cognitive disabilities who may interact with content and communicate in many different ways. Additionally, the open source system provides a lasting resource to the states participating in the project so they can benefit from the work we're doing during the grant period following the grant. This development work is a non-trivial investment, and states appreciate that they can continue to use without licensing fees following the grant and can extend the system as their needs dictate. As I mentioned, there were a number of elements that the project has worked to implement and customize since we began our partnership with CTB and Breakthrough in late 2013, and I'd like to touch on some of these. Naturally, the project devoted considerable attention to approaches for presentation of content in ways that would minimize any perceived barriers to students showing what they know, and that would allow students and teachers to navigate through the test easily. For example, the project wanted to minimize information overload when presenting items associated with reading passages so the student can focus on a manageable portion of text. However, we also want students to access previously read passage parts as needed, but with minimal scrolling, as is often characteristic of computer-based presentation of items linked to passages. Accordingly, we've worked with and continue to work with Breakthrough on a passage-based item presentation interface that allows the student to experience smaller portions of text, but can flexibly revisit previously read material as needed. Additionally, it's a high priority to have students interact with the system using assistive and communicative devices that are familiar to the student and that maximize their ability to interact as independently as possible. Therefore, the project has and continues to study a range of device types to promote system compatibility. Although the test is necessarily computer-based, providing accessibility for some students necessitates that all or portions of the test content are available on demand in paper form. Therefore, a feature that was developed to provide this option was implemented for the pilot in the spring of 2014. Other accessibility features have been added to the system during the project to include text-to-speech capability, magnification, and various contrast settings to promote accessibility for learners with special needs. Another characteristic of the NICSIC assessment is that the student produces work scored externally by trained evaluators. Therefore, the development team has created a mechanism for ingesting evidence such as an image of handwritten work that is available to the scoring team. As the project moves forward, we've discussed the addition of a stage adaptive testing feature that would allow subsequent test sessions to be selected based on performance in a previous session. Finally, I'll note that our assessment relies heavily on a well-trained test administrator, which is typically the student's teacher, to oversee the test experience, working closely with the student in the system. Therefore, to ensure our test administrators are well-trained, a number of training modules have been developed and incorporated into the NICSIC assessment system. These modules conclude with a quiz following the training experience, which requires the administrator to achieve a minimum score to be authorized to access the system and start the test. I'll just take a moment to talk about the overall timeline for the major project activities before I close. As mentioned, our first major event was the pilot that was recently implemented this past spring. Doug will talk more about the impressive effort that went into implementing on a very brisk timeline a pilot test of this innovative assessment with thousands of student participants across 17 participating states. The pilot was followed by development work to evaluate the items and refine test specifications. And, as I speak, the team is working hard to implement another robust pilot event this fall that begins in only a few weeks. Our capstone event will be a full census test for all states this spring, which, after standard setting, will produce for the first time results that will be distributed to and used by students, parents, educators, and a wide range of stakeholders. Finally, in the fall of 2015, the project will complete production of technical documents before finalizing the development activities during the grant period and transitioning to a new stage for NICSIC. If you would like more information, some additional resources are available on our website as indicated. Thanks for your time and attention today. Again, I regret that I can't be there in person, but I'm glad to share my remarks with you through this medium about NICSIC and the role of open source technology to help us meet our objectives. I'm pleased that Doug is on site to provide more information about a program we think is exciting and groundbreaking. Thanks again.